occupying with your own TR modules, so naturally you don't have space. Maybe in case you are looking for additional space for the rest crew or whatever it is, you will end up in sacrificing that. But not apart from that, there is another point that you may have to remember, that you are going to blank all your windows. It has got a positive point. That means your EMIMC issues are to that extent getting reduced. But on the other hand, you will not be in a position to see and probably, satisfy yourself in a long run. Last is one of the points is that it's always been debated by us in very, very many times. These aircrafts can never be with us for all the time, because once in 6 years or once in periodically it will go for maintenance, and the Air Marshal will be aware of that. While we are sending the aircraft, normal practice is to remove most of the electronics from the secrecy point of view. Then in such a case, the compact side-mounted antenna becomes slightly more complex to removal, whereas the top one becomes very child's play, because we can routinely remove in a matter of about 4 to 5 hours. And so we finally, with all our debate, we concluded with the help and support of Air Force, because the decision has to be done jointly. We have done that. And the platform was fixed by Air Force, and the joint decision on whether to go on top or the side also decided collectively between DRDO and Air Force. Ultimately, we selected the Embraer 145 platform with all the system, where we will have a radar, IFF, ESM, CSM, SPS, IFR, C-band data link, SATCOM, VHF, UHF, etc. Now, the main thing, having decided on that, the only crux or the challenge for DRDO was, how do we do that dorsal unit or the top unit, which we call it as an active array antenna. The basic thing is that it has to be an electronics-wise a challenge, because we need to produce whatever the pattern required for the antenna, and we have to have a radome which has to have properties of a radome in terms of less loss and not creating any squint or whatever it is. Simultaneously, being an external element, it has to have aerodynamic properties. You cannot afford to have a huge drag element on top and expect the aircraft to give a good performance. So this is another important challenge for us. So we have to, obviously, because one will expect you to have a bigger, larger, and maybe a squarish antenna. The other one will expect you to go for a sleek, rounder, smoother, polished surface from the aerodynamics point of view. So this challenge ought to be taken care of. So one is that external flow from the drag point of view. Another important, equally important point of view is the internal flow. Because the part of the air which is going inside, if it is not diverted inside properly without any much drag, you will not be able to cool the system, because all the electronics is freely getting cooled as and when the aircraft is flying. That's the ram air cooling has been done. So there is a good amount of airflow need to be studied for both for external as well as internal. Last but not the least is in the mechanical side that we have got several issues like the strength of the aircraft, strength of the AAAU or the active array antenna unit has to be at par with the aircraft, because you are talking about aircraft. The aircraft is going to have a 30 years of life. Then you have to ensure that this is a structural member. It's a large body. So you cannot deviate from that saying that it's an electronics or a sophisticated item. So applied loads and corresponding strength and static strength has to be taken care of, while we take care of the weight, because the more weight you put in to increase your strength, you will end up creating more and more heavier item. The other aspect is that, which normally probably wouldn't have worried in an antenna, is that the rain erosion, because the antenna surface is going to be constantly going through this rain erosion, temperature changes, static discharges, most of all, lightning strikes. Now, similar to that, we have got a power supply inside. What we did is, when we have got an effective way of cooling, we push the power supply also inside. Thereby, we have to have our system more efficient in terms of EMIMC. One of the important things that we did is the clad antenna, because we have to reduce the space and the drag. We did that, and we have successfully completed that. And we have to do good amount of analysis, static analysis, and we have done that, and all have been through. And last but not the least is several iterations of internal testing, both as a low speed as well as high speed, and successfully completed that. You must understand that the bird strike, it is not only for the aircraft today. Now it has to be even equally applicable for antenna also. We have done the study, we have done the system, we have practically measured it and saw to it is everything successful. Another important product of DRDO is that the TR module, which is a very critical element, which was denied in the beginning. So we have done our own chip, our own system, and it is totally patented also. And this goes inside the aircraft, as you can see that. While you are doing that, we have to do a lot of thermal analysis where the hotspots are there. Because the internal flow need to be studied, we have to ensure that each and every TR module is cooled properly, because you cannot afford to cool few of them properly and some of them leastly, but thereby we can have a failures. The power supply is one of the very critical item which is done in such a small size, and the cooling also is taken care of. Ultimately, we need to do several tests to ensure that we are succeeding in all aspects. As I told you, the lightning is one other thing. We have conducted the lightning test on the system. You can see that, and it succeeds. We have to look at the both direct as well as indirect tests. And similar to that, the antenna panel as such has to go through several tests like low temperature, high temperature, shock, humidity. All of them has been completed, and we are now at this point of time, we have a full system. As a truncated version we have made, tested, satisfied. At this point of time, our total test strategy is to ensure that we make a dummy more or less looking alike in terms of weight volume simulated and send it to Embraer to see that flight testing is done. After that, we will integrate with the final version. As of now, the AEW&C radar system, AEW&C system will have ASA radar with a powered mounted on top of it. It's an S-band having a coverage about 240 degrees. We can stretch it up to 300 degrees, but with a limited coverage in terms of range. And it has got about 10 to 17 degrees of elevation, and it has got all the other systems functionally equivalent to any other AVAX system. We have got about 5 operators, and at least about 7 crews can be able to rest, and in-flight refueling also there. Considerable thought has gone in, and the system has been arrived based on the platform chosen by Air Force. And it is the optimum, and it is supposed to be the cost effective in the world today. And we are looking forward to look with more and more partners in the future. Thank you very much.
Very apt topic, because we are getting our, the aircraft, AVAX aircraft shortly. This is one of the, let's say, record for the Indian Air Force. It's the first time that we are getting such an item. As the Chinese had already a man on the kite and all that. Looking a little closer home, we also had a AEW system. If you all know, you must be all knowing Mrs. Sitaram. Sitaram is Ram's wife. Ram's wife is Sita. When she was being abducted by Ravana, a Lord Jatayu, the Lord of the worlds, he spotted her being abducted, and he was able to get the information to Lord Rama later. Of course, he was a defensive weapon and tried to become an offensive weapon, got his wings clipped incidentally, and then only he could give it to Rama. But as far as this topic is concerned, the AESA and the TR module is really a breakthrough for us, because it gives the operator and the maintenance man both a breathing time. You can continue to use the radar and do the rectifications or the replacement of those modules at your convenience without having a breakdown of the total system. That is extremely important. There is already a definition in the outer core how many could be unserviceable, what is the limit permitted, what is the degradation permitted. So keeping this in mind, you can schedule your maintenance at those times. I think it has been a very good lecture. Please give a big hand to Dr. Christopher. Thank you.